Hello again and welcome to our July 2025 edition of Quick Kit. Links to everything that I mentioned will be down in the description below. Let's get into it. ARRI have announced their latest camera, the Alexa 35 Xtreme. This new camera is replacing the Alexa 35, which it shares a lot with, but also has a plethora of improvements. This new camera features a whole new set of internal hardware that the Alexa 35 doesn't have that enables ARRI to achieve these upgrades. First off, the maximum high frame rates have improved massively. The Alexa 35 tops out at 120 frames, whereas the 35 Xtreme can now be pushed up to 330 in its regular mode and 660 in the new sensor overdrive mode. This overdrive mode cuts off the top 6 stops of dynamic range, but enables ARRI to get higher frame rates and also faster sensor readout times. In the new mode, your dynamic range goes down from 17 to 11, and the native EI of the camera raises to 1600. So when using the camera in this mode, you need to think of it like a high-speed camera when it comes to your lighting and dynamic range. But it's great that you have the ability to enter this mode if you want the absolute highest frames, and then if dynamic range is more important, you can simply switch back into the regular mode. And to shoot at some of the higher frame rates, you will need to record in their new codec, ARRI Core. ARRI Core is a new compressed RGB codec that offers some of the post flexibility of RAW and high image quality, but with efficient compression, so you get data rates closer to that of ProRes 4444 instead of the massive ones you can have with ARRI RAW. With previous ARRI cameras, you had the option to shoot uncompressed ARRI RAW, which offered great post flexibility and quality, but would result in massive file sizes, or ProRes, which is a nice codec for post production, but it's a compressed format with no post RAW controls. So it's great to have a format like this added, as it is something that ARRI have lacked for a while now, whereas all their major competition have established compressed codecs like this, where you can control EI or ISO and white balance in post. At launch, this new codec will only work in ARRI's reference tool, but support for third-party tools should become available soon. ARRI have also massively improved the pre-recording functionality. The 35 Xtreme has some of the longest pre-records in any cinema camera. This paired with the new high frame rate options will make it great for sport and wildlife productions. Here's a table of the different times depending on what format and frame rate you want to shoot. Since the launch of the Alexa 35, ARRI have been analysing the log files and have decided to remove a few recording modes, as well as adding some new ones which we've mentioned. Now when you choose whatever sensor mode you want to shoot in, that is what dictates your recorded resolution, and this is across all 3 codecs. This should make it easier to navigate and choose a format that you want to shoot in. With the new hardware, the camera has 10% lower power consumption, improved Wi-Fi, cooling has been improved, and all existing Alexa 35 accessories will still work with this new camera. ARRI will be selling Alexa 35 Xtremes with this full upgrade, but Alexa 35 base and premium owners will have the option to send their cameras in to a certified service centre to have their cameras upgraded. This is currently limited to Munich, London and LA, but other centres around the world are being prepared to offer this service. The upgrade is going to cost roughly €15,900, but this isn't just a simple firmware install. The camera has to be completely disassembled and brand new hardware is fitted to enable all these lovely improvements. This includes a faster processor, faster access to increased on-chip memory, and a redesigned cooling system to help keep all this extra processing and power cool. ARRI will be continuing to sell base versions which will have the hardware of the Xtreme already, but will be limited by software, so you can upgrade down the line if you so choose. We'll be releasing an in-depth video about the Alexa 35 Xtreme on the 7th of August, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. We also have 2 open days with this camera on the 6th and 7th of August at our central London showroom, so if you want to check this camera out for yourself and have a chat with us, you can sign up via the link in the description. I'm intrigued to see what this new camera release does to the used market of 35s as well, as the used market for Alexa Minis and Mini LFs is very active, and this new camera could make used 35s more appealing to a wider base of users. ARRI also released update 3.2.1 for Light OS, which is used across a range of their lighting fixtures. This brings a range of improvements, which I'm going to put up on screen now. Sony has been pretty busy this month. First off, they released 2 new cameras, the PXW-Z300 and RX1R3. The Z300 is Sony's latest traditional camcorder that is aimed at being used for news gathering and documentary productions. This new camera is aimed to replace the Z280, which has been popular since its release way back in 2018. It looks like this new camera uses the same 3 CMOS sensor and 30.3 to 515mm equivalent 17 times optical zoom as the Z280, but with a range of other updates. This includes Sony's latest AI processing chip, which means autofocus has seen a serious improvement. The Z300 unfortunately doesn't have a viewfinder, but it does have a new multi-angle LCD, which uses a newly developed, incredibly solid hinge design. We managed to check this design out a while ago, and we were really impressed with how robust it is. There's also an MI shoe on the back now of the handle, which will be great to use with a Sony MI shoe compatible wireless audio receiver. There is also a V-mount on the side of the camera for mounting accessories, but Sony have mainly shown their PDT FP1 mounted here. The FP1 enables some really powerful streaming and camera to cloud workflows, so it makes sense for them to pair this with a camera like this. It also has a Cinetone, USB power delivery, uses a dual CF Express Type A or SD card slot, and has video authenticity, which is going to be really important going forward into the future. Next, they released the RX1R3. This is a new fixed lens camera aimed to take on the likes of the insanely popular Fuji X100VI and GFX100 RF. It features a 61 megapixel sensor, which is probably the same one found in the A7R5 and A7C-R, and uses the same 35mm f2 Zeiss lens found on the previous Sony RX1. It also uses Sony's latest AI processing unit, so I'm sure autofocus will be incredibly fast and accurate. It has a bunch of new creative film looks built in, which is looking to appeal to the same people who may want to shoot with Fuji's film simulations and recipes. It's a very compact camera, and Sony have still managed to cram a $2.36 million viewfinder onto it and a 3-inch rear LCD, which doesn't fold out. This camera is expensive though, costing just under £4,200. That's a lot for a camera that has these kinds of specs. You can get Sony's own A7C-R and a 35mm f2 for a massive chunk less than this, and even get the GFX100 RF from Fuji for about £500 more, and that's a 100 megapixel medium format camera. What do you think of the RX1R3? Let us know in the comments. Sony also released a couple of new CF Express Type A cards and a new card reader. The new cards are 960GB and 1920GB CF Express 4 compatible versions of their Type A cards, which are used across a range of their cameras now. As they now use CF Express 4, you can get faster read and write speeds compared to the 3 standard ones by quite a margin. So if you use these cards with their new MRW-G3 reader, which is also CF Express 4 compliant, you'll be able to offload cards much faster to SSDs that can handle the data rate. Up next, they released their latest shotgun microphone, the ECM778. This is aimed to compete with professional shotgun microphones like the industry standard Sennheiser 416. It's aimed at being a more compact option, measuring just 176mm in length and weighing just 102 grams, while still capturing high quality audio, and it's available to pre-order now for £930. Lastly, Sony announced a new filter replacement service for the BURANO cameras. This is a free filter replacement that Sony are offering worldwide for owners of the BURANO that want this improved infrared cut filter, which should improve colour reproduction in certain lighting conditions. If you want to learn more on how this works, please get in contact with Sony or us, details on screen now. Aputure have announced a bunch this month. First off was the Storm 400X. The 400X is a 400 watt cob LED fixture which uses Aputure's Blazar light engine. It has a CCT range of 2500 to 10,000 Kelvin, a rated output of 27,000 lux at 1 meter when using a 35-degree reflector, and is IP65 weather resistant. It features Aputure's ProLock locking Bowens mount, which is fantastic for heavy modifiers, has 4 different fan modes, and is priced at just under £1,100, which, given its specs and quality of light, should make it an interesting option for a lot of people. With the 400X, they also announced the CF7 Fresnel, which has been optimised for the 400X. It has a beam angle of 15 to 40 degrees, an 8-leaf barn door system, and is going to cost just over £200. They also released the Spotlight Mini for the ATC. This is a nice compact projector light that comes with either a 19 or 36 degree lens. It comes with 10 M-size gobos, uses a standard gel clip, has a built-in 5-leaf cutter for control, and is made from durable metal. It's available to pre-order now. Next, they announced the Storm Parallel Beam 70. This is a 70cm diameter true Cassegrain mirror system. It pushes out a focused 5-degree beam of hard light across large distances. It's been optimised for the XT52, but also works with the XT26 and CS15. They also teased the Nova 2, which will be an updated panel fixture that is going to be powered by their Blazar CG light engine. This looks really exciting, as Blazar CG in the ATC and 1000C is excellent, so it's great that we are seeing it in more fixtures. Lastly, they've released firmware version 1.5 for the Storm 1200X, which adds a few new things to bring it in line with other Storm fixtures. Atomos have released their latest monitor recorder, the Ninja TX. Like the previous Ninja, this is a 5-inch monitor with a pretty comprehensive range of features. First off, it has a new LCD panel, which has a peak brightness of 1500 nits, which is 500 nits brighter than the other current Ninjas. It runs Atomos, which means it has loads of monitoring and streaming tools that you should expect from an Atomos recorder now. It has both 12G SDI and HDMI 2.0 in and out ports, which will make it very versatile across different camera packages. It has 3 USB-C ports, one of which is PD rated up to 45 watts, which means you can power the monitor with a PD source if you'd like. Otherwise, it can be powered via NPF or the optional battery eliminator adapter. Recording wise, the Ninja TX is essentially a Ninja Ultra with the Atomos Connect firmware upgrade. So you can record a similar range of frame rates, resolutions and codecs without needing any extra paid firmware upgrades. One of the big upgrades has to be the swap from using 2.5-inch drives to record to either CF Express Type B cards or an external USB-C SSD. Using CF Express Type B is a great choice as there are plenty of affordable cards now, and they will be much faster and nicer to travel with than older SATA drives. It's priced at just over £1,000, which makes it around £370 more than the Ninja Ultra, but it does have its obvious upgrades that we've mentioned. It's great to have another small Atomos monitor with both HDMI and SDI built in, and the cables are on the back, not the side, which I think is a nice change. It's available to pre-order now on our website. IBE have announced 2 new Raptor Macro lenses, a 65mm 1.4x PL expander, and their new Klaus 70 series of lenses. The Klaus 70 lenses are a new series of cine lenses designed for the range of larger sensor cameras coming onto the market, such as the ARRI Alexa 265, Ursa Cine 17K, and Fuji GFX Eterna. There are currently 6 focal lengths in the set, which will all have a t1.7 aperture. A consistent t1.7 aperture across a set of lenses that have a massive 59.8mm image circle is pretty impressive. We were lucky enough to check them out just before our European Lens Summit and also take them onto a shoot, and the image that they can produce does look very nice. They can also be tuned by IBE to have different irises, flares and internal elements. I'm excited to test these and more 65mm format lenses as more and more come out. The 65E aspherical expander has been designed to take your favourite full frame lenses and expand their image circle up to cover 65mm formats. Lastly, they announced both a 24mm t2.9 and 300mm t5.6 for their Raptor Macro series of Cine Primes. This brings the series to 6 focal lengths now, with them both bookending the set respectively. Creators of the popular Cymera C cinema lenses Thypoch have released a range of M-mount positive lock adapters. The Cymera Cs are available in both E and M mount, and we often recommend the M mount version as you can adapt them onto far more cameras than the E mount variant, using the correct adapter. However, some M mount adapters can be a bit finicky and potentially introduce more play when focusing, and these new adapters from Thypoch look to partially solve that. The M-mount side features a positive locking mechanism which helps reduce the play when using them in more traditional cinema focusing workflows, though you may still have some play in the camera mount side. These adapters will be available in E, RF, L, Z and even an ARRI mount version, which is quite cool. I managed to check these out as well at our European Lens Summit, and they feel really well put together. And if you're wanting a more video or cine focused adapter for M-mount, these are a very solid choice. The adapters are going to cost just over £195 each, apart from the ARRI mount one, which is just over £1,100. They're available to pre-order now, link to which is in the description. Blazar have released their Remus M. These are mirrorless mount versions of their popular Remus series of anamorphics. The Remus are PL as standard, whereas these ones come as Sony E-mount as standard, but can have their mount swapped out to Canon RF or Leica L. This means you don't need to use an adapter, which can add extra weight and create back focus issues. The optics are the same, but because of the mount change, you can get the Remus M about £600 less for a free lens kit, which is incredible value. Though you of course lose the flexibility that comes with PL, as you can mount PL pretty much on every cinema camera out there, and also rotate it on a PL mount if you'd like to as well. Have you used the Remus lenses before? What do you think of them? Let us know down below. Laowa have released a couple of new stills versions of their updated 12mm f2.8 0D lens. They recently updated their cine version of the 12mm as well, which looks to reduce both size and weight, and even improve overall image quality. One of the stills versions also now features autofocus, which could be really interesting for smaller crude work. They are priced really well and available to order now. They also released the 10mm t2.9 VV cine lens. A 2mm difference doesn't sound like a lot, but at wider focal lengths, it definitely does make a difference. This new lens sits alongside a bunch of wide-angle cine options from Laowa now. It will be available in PL, LPL, and a range of mirrorless mounts. This is also available in stills form as well, and all the lenses we've mentioned are available to order now. Lastly, they introduced their Finder card. This uses Apple's Find My network, like an AirTag, but its form factor is more like a credit card. It has a wirelessly rechargeable battery built in, which should last up to 6 months, and is only 2.4mm thick. It's available to order now for about £25, which is a good bit less than an AirTag. Up next, Blackmagic have announced some new things. This includes the release of their 16TB media module for the Ursa Cine series of cameras, which is going to cost around £2,069, which I think is actually pretty good considering the size of it. Next, they released Camera Update 9.6.2, which is a small update for the Pixel 6K and Micro Studio Camera 4K G2. They also released Update 3.21 for the Video Assist 5 and 7-inch 12G HDR, which adds support for the S1R2 and some general performance improvements. And lastly, they've released Resolve 20.0.1, which changes a bunch. Links to all of these updates are in the description. SmallRig announced quite a few things this month, so let's quickly go through it all. First off, they announced 2 new folding parabolic softboxes, the FP60 and FP90, which come Bowens mount as standard, but can be swapped out to a range of other mounts. Next, they announced a new all-in-one cage for phones, which comes with a built-in cooler for increasing the recording or streaming times on smartphones that get hot when recording. Up next is the RM25C, a 25-watt mini LED light. This looks very similar to Amaran's 25C. They also released their new Image Grip series of side handles. I like the look of the wooden one personally. They also released their cage kit for the FX2, which has a decent range of accessories for it. Next is some new media storage / card readers for both CF Express Type B and Type A. And lastly, they released a top handle that has been designed to be used with the DJI Focus Pro LiDAR system. For smaller camera packages, this looks like a really nice solution, as you can adjust the position of the LiDAR pretty comprehensively. Right, let's get into our quickfire honourable mentions. Links to details about these are in the description below. Axoon have started shipping their CineView M7 and M7 Pro monitor systems and the CMOV 4K HDMI adapter for Android. Angelbird released their latest USB-C 4.0 Gen 3x2 CF Express Type B reader and a couple of new cables which look quite nice. Bright Tangerine released a new range of accessories for the Venice Extension Mini system and their Titan Arm 2, which looks really nice. Canon announced firmware for a range of their cameras and released the RF 75-300mm f4 to 5.6 zoom lens. Cinelux released a B4 mount for Red DSMC1 and DSMC2 cameras. Godox announced their new M300R RGBWW Cob LED fixture and the NOLED AM1600R full color light map. Hawkwoods released their new series of AA HP36 1100 mAh rechargeable batteries. Ignite Digi has introduced a new range of RS cables for the DJI Focus Pro motors. Insta360 announced the new Flow 2 smartphone gimbal and mic air system. Leica released a new update for the Q3 which enables audio recording via USB-C for certain Rode mic systems. Maxima have announced their latest lighting fixture called Rapida. Megadapt released a new version of their popular Z2 E-mount adapter, the ETZ21 Pro Plus. Nanlite announced the Pico, a small pocket-sized RGBW LED light. Nissi now has a PL to DJI DX adapter, which is great to use with the DJI Ronin 4D. PD Movi announced the Live Air 4 smart LiDAR focusing system. Portkeys announced their latest 7-inch monitor, the LS7P. Proton announced the PIO to E IP control system and the Proton zoom camera. Red released CF Express version 4 Type B cards and a reader. Rode have released a new on-camera receiver for their wireless micro system. Saramonic announced the TC Neo timecode generator and their latest wireless mics, the Air. Simod have introduced their new lens NATO ring for mounting accessories onto lenses, and also their own series of cine lenses called Apsara. Swit announced a new 24-inch 4K field monitor and a range of USB-C dummy battery adapters. Tamron released the 16-30mm f2.8 Di3 VXD G2 lens. Teradek released firmware 2.23 for their Prism. Tokina released the 180mm T1.9 Vista P. Viltrox released the AF 90mm f3.5 lens for DJI DL mount, and lastly, Zacuto announced a Z Finder for the Z300. Let us know what kit you've picked up this month in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.